what you just said then, what does it actually mean in layman's terms?
What that means is that I will do what he's asking me to do, because you have to do what the court asks you to do, because you're in Alice in Wonderland. Okay, so you have to do something. You can't be silent, and you can't argue. So you're left with conditional acceptance, which is your remedy. It's your private remedy, right? And so you do what he's asking you to do, or you give him something that he's asking, but on your terms. So if you ask me to stand up, okay, please stand, I would say to the judge, I shall stand, Your Honour. However, I do not waive any common law rights, nor do I grant in personam jurisdiction. And then I stand up.
Right, very good.
So I have done what he's asked me to do without doing what, without getting into trouble,
but
basically.
Not unconditionally.
Yeah, there's always a condition.
You've gone to the judge, but you put your own conditions
Exactly, it's conditional acceptance.
on.
Now, the judge might say to me, he might, be getting a little bit aggravated by now. He might not even understand. He probably does, but he might take his little piece of paper out and wave it up and say, "What's all this about?" Okay, now what would you do then? Do you say, well, okay, well, I don't know. It looks like a piece of paper and there's some charges. Well, if you did that, you'd be answering his question, and he's got you. Okay, he's got jurisdiction, and then it's game over again. So, at every point turn in the road, there is an answer, and you only have to listen to what the judge is saying, because everything that the judge is saying is an offer. So you could say to the judge, I accept your offer to assume jurisdiction, Your Honour, upon proof of claim that you have established jurisdiction over the matter pending. Or if he's asking you, what's this piece of paper about? There are a myriad of them. I could go into a great many of these rebuttals.
So you could actually challenge the judge to verify that the judge is in a position to even be challenging you
Sure.
in a court of law.
Sure.
And play that game.
Yeah, I mean, he could say,
But
well,
does that not just delay inevitable results from this sort of interaction where you just end off really pissing off the judge?
well, you can't
Not
piss him off,
really.
really. I mean, he's trying to get jurisdiction over you, and if he doesn't get jurisdiction over you, that's it. The court case is over with. Now, what we're going to have a look at in a second is actually preempting that with paperwork, which is what I do. I don't go to court either. I preempt it with good paperwork. So when you get your presentment in the mail, I either send it back as incorrectly addressed, mail fraud, return to sender, or if I decide to open it, perhaps as the agent for the all capital letter League of Fiction, I will actually write a letter and take it into the register of the court. Okay, with my 2 lines. I accept your negotiable instrument for value and consideration upon proof of claim. It's a 1 line. Okay, because at that moment in time, that presentment is nothing more than hearsay. It's all hearsay. Okay, a lawyer is an actor. A lawyer is a third-party intervener into a private agreement, usually, right? But they're a third party. They have no knowledge of what happened, and so they rely on hearsay. They rely on argument. They rely on controversy. And until there's controversy, a judge can't step in and adjudicate. So you have to stay out of controversy. Okay, you can't create an argument, because as soon as you create an argument, somebody can come in and adjudicate over that. Yeah.
Can we just do a little backtrack and just look at the common law?
Yeah.
Because that's like the basis of like our natural rights, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
That is the underlying, and there's all this other corporate legality that's been layered on top.
Yeah. It's like a layered building, okay? And literally what happens, when you go up in that law structure away from common law, which is ground level common law, those are your inalienable rights that nobody can take away or change or do anything about. They're what they call your God-given natural rights. You were just born with those. You know, you have the right to journey on the common ways of the land in your private automobile, uninterrupted, unrestricted, unmolested. Bang, that's it, over. No one has the right to come in and step in and say, pull over, I'm going to give you a fine, you were speeding, why weren't you wearing your seatbelt? Unless you're an entity, right? And if you're an entity, forget your rights. You know, you don't have any, because you've got the rights that they've given you, which has nothing to do with common law. Okay, that's probably the next tier. So when you go into court, the court steps up. Okay, you've got the higher court. You know, you've got the low court, you've got the high court, Supreme Court. Every time you go up and up and up, you get further and further away from common law, and they can't hear you anymore. Okay, so you can't bring common law into the Supreme Court. You know, where's my rights? You know, I'm challenging. You know, where's the Constitution? And you'll hear judges say, you know, he'll bang his little gavel down and say, you know, if I hear any more about the Constitution in here, you know, I'll hold you in contempt, because you can't bring the Constitution into this, you know, upper echelon of law, because it doesn't exist. This is completely fictitious corporate law up here, you know, and it is the furthest thing away from natural common law remedy that you can get. Okay, so we've all got to stay in our natural, I guess, our natural remedies down here. Okay, so we don't go to court. Well, I don't anyway. So I don't go because my paperwork is good enough to preempt or basically challenge them, because they still don't have any jurisdiction. They don't have jurisdiction. They don't have proof of claim. Could you prove that I was here tonight? If I was to punch you right now, would you have proof? What would be the proof of claim that I was to punch you?
Just other people seeing it?
Sure, hearsay. Now, hearsay isn't admissible in court, but once you actually become, you know, once you actually get into an argument or a controversy and you are subject to, you know, the judge and his jurisdiction, it doesn't matter anymore. He will decide whether I punched you or not. If I didn't punch you and I went to jail, it would be a misjustice, right?
So say
an injustice.
So to say, for instance, there was a policeman at the door, you punched me.
Yep.
He just grabbed you, chucked you in the back of the paddy wagon,
Sure.
took you straight to the.
Yeah.
So you would put these things into practice in law the next day or something when you're in court.
Sure. Well, he'd probably take me in and
the
lock me up.
policeman was a witness and he saw everything. You could still do what you're saying in court.
Yeah, well, for a witness to even be heard, there'd have to be a court case, and there wouldn't be a court case if there was no jurisdiction. Okay, so, you know, again, when you went in, even if you went into the court, you know, if the judge couldn't get jurisdiction over you, that would get thrown out. Yeah, because it's all hearsay.
And you've put this into practice?
Yeah.
On what?
A number of more than one occasion, and in more than one situation. Yeah. So I actually had to. They tried to get me to go to court for a long time for traffic, what they called traffic violations. And every time I challenged the police and challenged the courts, and every time I won, because there was no proof of claim. They were saying that I was speeding, and I remember when the pirate came up to me, you know, when the pirate first tried to board my vessel, and, you know, said, you were speeding, and I asked him, I said, was I? Now, what would you say? You know, most of us go, oh, I'm sorry, bang. We enter the argument, we enter the controversy. But I don't, I actually take away the presumption. Okay? Oh, was I? So it comes back to him to prove that I was. Well, look at my black box, and he shows me this thing, and I say to him, well, that's a nice box you've got there. Because he's trying to get me to agree, he's trying to get me to enter that controversy. And so in the end, you know, he starts to write out stuff. Well, give me your name. And I said to him, well, I'll give you my name upon proof of claim that there's controversy here. And he said, well, did you know that I can just take you and lock you up? And I said to him, yeah, well, that's called force. Okay? Or a threat. Okay? And that's what pirates do. And all of you have kind of like grown up in the era of electronica. So, I mean, a lot of you would know Laurie Anderson. you know, in the 80s, she had a song called "Oh Superman," and there's a great line in that which says, "When justice is gone, there's always force," and that's true, because if I feared anything, which I try not to fear anything because fear is obviously an attractor for bad stuff. So if I feared anything, it would be force, because, you know, I fear ignorance. Because every time that I've sort of been in a situation where I've had to be approached by these law pirates, they don't understand what I do, because they're not taught that, and they're not taught it for a reason. Or if they are taught, they've forgotten it, or they're not allowed to